From the east, house of light, may wisdom dawn in us, so we may see all things in clarity. From the north, house of night, may wisdom ripen in us, so we may know all from within. From the west, house of transformation, may wisdom transform into right action, so we what must be done. From the south, house of the eternal, may right action reap the harvest, so we may enjoy the fruits of planetary being. From above, house of heaven, where star people and ancestors gather, may their blessings come to us now. From below, house of earth, may the heartbeat of her crystal core bless us with harmonies and all war. From the center, galactic source, which is everywhere at once, may everything be known as the light of mutual love. Ayum Huna Ku Eva Maya E Ma Ho. Ayum Huna Ku Eva Maya E Ma Ho. Ayum Huna Ku Eva Maya E Ma Ho. All hail the harmony of mind and nature.
Welcome to Health and Well-Being with Viata. I'm Viata and I'm in my tiny house. It's not really tiny anymore. 320 square feet of peace, joy, and music. Fill this place with music. So welcome everybody. We've got a lot to cover. Things are happening fast. Cancer vaccines coming out like warp speed. You remember 2022 warp speed, all this? We got to talk about it because we are in a position to take charge of our health now. The internet is here. AI is here. Let's do it. We're here today to help you create your own tiny house village that is full of wisdom, love, and joy and knowledge. So here's a little journey for you that I've been on that has helped me create my own tiny house village. And let me play my different music. So come on in. We be jamming in here because music is my first love. But this morning, as usual, we offer you meditative joint rolling. And I changed the music. I'm not playing music during this time because I really do want you to think about the movements that we're making for the enhancement, for the health of this temple that our soul is dwelling in. We don't always think of the soul living within this temple, which is eternal, the soul, eternal soul living in this temporary house here, temporary house that is eternal. So as we do our joint rolling, I want to invite you to meditate on the beauty of this temple, how it moves, how it flexes, how it twists and turns and rotates. because the more you focus on that in love, the more your health will rise up and change your perspective on everything, because the temple is vibrating not just with 7 chakras, but I'm learning that there's actually about 10 chakras that are over the head. So this morning, I thank you for joining me. And the prayer that we start out with every morning now is the prayer of the 7 galactic directions. It's a Native American or indigenous energy that it focuses on, gives honor to the planet and the universe and all that we see around us in nature, which you could say is our creator's love. So I hope that blesses you each time you see it, because it really is a representation created by a woman, actually, who is part of the synchronistic human family, which I'm a part of, a beautiful family of evolving souls into a new calendar and so much more. So if you'd like to learn more about the 7 galactic prayer and the 13 moon calendar, 28-day calendar, go to www.synchronistichuman.com and you'll see lots of information about the calendar and Neb Taharka's teachings on this subject, because we are so quickly growing in our spiritual understanding, and it's necessary because the foolery is out there. Can vaccinations prevent cancer? Let's talk about it, because you don't want to be fooled again after the COVID twilight zone, I called it. Let's educate ourselves today. So let's begin with uh, inspiring this temple, this body first, with our breath, because once this breath leaves, you're done in this body. Thank goodness. We don't have to deal with this flesh and this temple anymore once the breath is gone. So the breath has been given to us to enhance every part of our being, and especially this. I call breath work worship, because you are actually tuning into the kingdom within. So when we take an inhale, hold it for 4, and exhale for 4, and hold it for 4, we are in a worship mode to stimulate all the parts of this temple biological computer. It works on breath, It won't work if you're not breathing. Oftentimes I think about when I'm holding my breath, my body almost is ready to shut down. So if you actually do breath work and then you hold it and you don't breathe for, say, a minute or so, your body goes into this silent mode. So that's why it's so important for us to be meditating as we move, to really feel and take in the energy that we're producing as we're rolling these joints and creating more life in this temple body. So let's do some breathing in together. Breathing in, holding it for 4, and exhaling for 4, relaxing your shoulders, relaxing your back muscles. Breathing in for 4, holding it for 4, and exhaling for 4, holding it for 4. Feel the energy flowing or not. Let me know how you're feeling as you breathe in, hold it for 4, exhale for 4, and pause. Blow it all out, blow it all out, blow all that fear, anxiety. What's going on in your life right now? Let me know in the comments so we can help you elevate, and enhance and change your perceived problems into opportunities. Let's do that throughout this show today. If you have any perceived problems going on, let's transmute them into great opportunities to grow. Okay. So let's start with our chin to chest, and let's just roll this head around. Thinking about your higher chakras, your pineal gland and your crown chakra, your pituitary gland in your brain, that is all very spiritual crystals. These are actually crystals in your brain. Let's reverse that and think about your third eye chakra. Your third eye chakra in the middle of your your brows, that is helping us meditate more and go into deeper connection to ourselves, really, to our kingdom within. Breathing in, breathing in, breathing in, breathing in, slow rotating. Then we think about your throat chakra. All of these chakras are portals. They're actually portals that connect us to the energy of the cosmos. Yes, the cosmos. Pause. Let's pause. All 1, 2, 3 chakras we just activated, inspired, stimulated in that movement with our throat, our head. So we go to our shoulder rotation. This is kind of you getting into your Tai Chi or Qigong exercises where it's a slow rotation of your joint. Slow rotation of your joint. Breathing. Slow rotation of your joints in your shoulder. More portals, and we're moving into the heart chakra area. Energy circulating, flowing, helping our pump work, our energy flow work better in this area. Moving the shoulders must back and forward, getting the back muscles involved, because your heart chakra energy is all levels in the front and the back. So your back muscles are being stimulated and activated as well when you do your shoulder movement. Then we bring in the elbows. The elbows are another portal, actually, to help us connect to our higher self, to our mobile self. Mobile being like a Wi-Fi, reversing that, a Wi-Fi system that is keeping us connected to our star seed energy, the energy that brought us to our mother's womb. We were star seeds of light, and then we were assigned to our mothers, who actually we choose our mothers. I'm reading and studying and learning. We chose our mothers that we wanted to learn from. We entered that portal, the vagina, through this with the sperm and all that, and now here we are working out our energy chakra centers. So now we at this point you could either stand up and start rotating your hips. That's what we do in Tai Chi. We stand up, rotate the hips both way and the ankles up. But we're going to just lay on our back, kick our legs up, and use our portal, activate our wrist and our ankle portals. Now we're into our lower chakras, the sacral, the solar plexus chakra, and we're going to activate the root chakra as when we rotating back and forth. Do what is comfortable for you at your pace. If you're new to joint rotation, take your time. Your body does not want you to hurry with anything, I'm learning, especially at my age. I don't rush anything anymore. My walk is sometimes a little faster to get my heart rate up, but most of my activity is just steady flowing pace, strong, steady pace. Now then, rub your hands together. It's really cooled off here in Florida, so my hands and feet are probably a little cooler, but just massage your knees before we activate the knee portal. All of these are portals that are stimulating the chakras energy all over our body. The chakra energy pours into the lower part from the root chakra, which is the bottom of your spine. But as we roll these legs around, give thanks that you are strengthening your muscles. You're strengthening your muscles. You're improving your circulation. You're activating your lymphatic system to help drain what you don't need, help drain. I read that your lymphatic fluid is actually greater than your blood fluid in percentage of your body fluid. So this is just such an amazing system that we live in. Now let's just get to the hips. Because as we said, when you rotate your joints, you are strengthening your muscles. So if you are into your later years, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, you don't want to have hip surgery because then you're going to be limited. Hospital bills. We're going to talk about hospitals today. Dr. Sunil Dahan has some warnings for anyone going into hospitals. So you want to prevent that as much as possible. Reverse that and reach as far around as you can, but just be comfortable. If you have any pain during this session, please stop and rub that area, or just stop and breathe into that area until your pain subsides or reduces. Let's go to the other side. We want to be balanced here and rotate. Imagine all this work you're doing. Your muscles are smiling. Your muscles are stretching a little. And what does that do? That strengthens them. Whenever you're stretching your muscles and working out your body like this, you are bringing strength and actually joy to your body, and more mobility. You're going to have more mobility when you're doing these exercises. The more you do this, the more flexible you're going to be. So we give thanks for all the workings of our body. Let's bring our knees to our chest if you can, and rotate back and forth to give your spine a massage. We are massaging the spine in this movement and giving it a much needed attention, because how many of you pay attention to your back? I mean, it's back there, so we don't give it enough attention. This moment right here, intentionally send love to the back. Breathe into the spine that carries your tree of life that we massage after each movement. Your vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is so important. It's like the trunk of the tree in you. You are the tree of life. We warm up these hands, and bring them to the back of the neck. Squeeze and release. Squeeze and release. Squeeze and release. Breathe in, squeeze, and this gets the vagus nerve sending whatever messages it needs out to the branches of your body. Tap, tap, tap. Thank you. Give thanks as you love on your body. Thank you, body. Talk to your body. Yes, my first book that I wrote was called My Body is Talking to Me, because I learned so much about the signals that I was receiving, especially from my breast. After my sister passed from breast cancer, I started, whoa, why is my breast hurting now? Yeah, I was carrying the sadness and the grief of my sister when she passed, and it went right to my left breast. So I started learning more and more about this temple. And that's my life work now, is to learn about the kingdom within me, all these organs and tissues and cells and how they work, how the systems work, and then share it with you. So I hope you'll be blessed today. Deep breath in, deep breath in. Let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. Another deep breath in. and let it go. We give thanks for this moment, for all that we are and all that we are becoming, because we are unstoppable now. We have just warmed up this very beautiful temple, and I'm going to play a little music while I go to the studio. So get your pen and pencil. We got a lot to cover today. And let me just give a disclaimer at this point, because we have a lot of information to share with you about this temple. And sometimes the powers that should not be don't like us sharing the truth. We're taking charge of our health every day, today especially. And I'm sharing some information with you that I want to disclaim this show is not intended to replace any advice you may be receiving from your doctor. If you have an acute or a chronic health condition you cannot resolve, please, please see your trusted health professional. Now, enjoy the music while I go to the studio. That is music from my brother Imak. I'm trying to find more original music so I don't get these emails about this show is not going to be played in certain areas because of the music you played. Whatever. So that's Imak, Imakh. If you want to explore, he's on YouTube and he's making some very creative works. So thank you, Imak, for that creation. This amazing. So many young people today are creating better music, I would say. Not just music, but better music, better rap, all of that, so that we can raise our frequency and vibration and broadcast more truth than lies and deception and confusion. Diddy's in jail because he was broadcasting and promoting a little bit too much confusion and evil, really. So we're now moving into a whole new era of truth, capital T, and love. So today, let's talk about the nursing crisis, because in the past we all, I know I did, thought it was to go into a hospital was something that we considered helpful to heal, help our body repair. Let's not heal, but repair. And these days the warning signs are everywhere about stay away from that place. Other than our emergency hospital system is amazing and great at diagnosing what the problem is and then telling you what's going on that you couldn't figure out. So get in, get the information, and get out. Don't find yourself in a room waiting to be fed non-nourishing foods. Okay. So let's listen to a nurse tell us the problem today. And this has been going on, it's been building for a while. It's gotten worse from what I'm hearing. This woman is a registered nurse, and she shares her story of the crisis that we're in. America's nursing crisis just got personal for her. So let's hear her story, and then we're going to break it down for you on the solution, because it may seem it's a perceived problem, but here in the village, perceived problems are just opportunities to grow. So here we go.
Are individual hospital leaders. There are individual unit manager leaders. There are administrators that I have met, that I continue to meet. And especially within my new role at my new facility, that I have met, who genuinely care, who genuinely want patient outcomes to be at the top of the list, who will fight their nurses every single day, tooth and nail. And this is not about those people, because I cross them every single day. I have an attending who fights tooth and nail for what's best for the patients and what's best for his staff. I've seen it with my own two eyes. This isn't about them. This is about a systemic incentive structure that rewards cutting nurse costs and punishes hospitals that invest in safe staffing. This is what this is about. And here's the kicker. I did that video on the nursing downgrade, and I'll link it up here for you to go check out. And I also did a video on the 100K nurse practitioner lie, and I'll link that up here as well. And so some of you already know about this because you've probably seen some of my prior videos. But for those that are new here, let me explain. Instead of fixing conditions that drive nurses out of the profession, they instead, paying nurses, and instead of paying nurses better wages and having better staffing on the unit that's safe and addressing the burnout, they, go to lowering the standard of care. And then when they lower the standard of care and patients complain about it, then they say, oh, well, we just have a nursing shortage, so we're just working through that. No. And the thing about it is we are going to put less trained people at the bedside and call it somehow some sort of solution. And patients, your family members, will be the one that pay the price for that decision. And that's literally what's happening right now in parts of America. And not enough people are talking about it loudly enough, not loud enough for the hospital administrators to hear. I want to talk directly to non-nurses watching this right now, because maybe you clicked onto this video and you're thinking, I'm not a nurse. How does this affect me? Why does this affect me? Here's why. The average American will be hospitalized at least one time in their lifetime. The average American will have a family member that is hospitalized multiple times. Your nurse, that person that comes to your room at 2:00, the person that comes to your room when you push the call light, the person that attempts to answer all of the questions of family members, that person is your lifeline. And that person can sometimes be the difference in you walking out of that hospital and you rolling out of that hospital in a body bag. And I'm not trying to sound insensitive. I'm just telling you like it is. They are the ones that catch the medication error before it even reaches you and you have no clue. They are the ones that's calling the doctor, telling the doctor that you've requested pain medication over and over and over and over again. And the pain medication still isn't on your medication list. They're the ones. They're the ones that notice that your breathing has slightly changed from what it was earlier in the shift. And they call the doctor before it even becomes a code. They are the ones that put the oxygen on you when they notice weird patterns when you're asleep, when you're asleep at night and you're having difficulty breathing. They're the ones that do that. They're the ones that hold your hand when you're scared and your family isn't there. They're the ones that hold your family hand when they take their last breath and they're scared. Tell them that it's going to be okay. They're the ones that do that. That person, when they are responsible for 7, 8, or even 9 patients, they cannot do those things. Not because they don't want to, but because it is physically and cognitively impossible. So the next time you're at the hospital and you wonder why it took so long for someone to answer your call light, that the answer is not that your nurse doesn't care. Far from the truth. That answer could be that the nurse is down the hall coding someone. It could be that the nurse is down the hall attending to something that is super important, not that they're ignoring you. And if and there's a true possibility that there probably should have been another nurse on the floor that could have answered your call light. But that position wasn't filled because the budget didn't allow. And that's the truth. And this wasn't personal, but it has become personal. And it's become personal for all of us. Because the only way this actually changes is if nurses and patients and family start demanding better together. It can't be one. It has to be all. You have the power in this as a patient and as a family and as a voter. And I can't tell you exactly how to use it, but what I can say, if you use it for making this, we all win.
So, as you heard, that nurse is helping us understand the situation of the shortage of nurses, the quality of training of nurses, and really the systemic problem altogether that the corporations that own hospitals are in it for business. Business. That means making money. It's really weird to me, the way hospitals are run, because they're not really trying to help you heal anything, for sure. And they really are not trying to help you get well. They want to give you all the drugs, spend as much money on your insurance company, or charge your insurance as much money as they can, because that's how they do business. And then hopefully you won't die while you're in there, because then that could be a lawsuit. Or they don't care, really. As she said, nurses, whoever goes into the nursing field, I think genuinely wants to help people get better, help people feel better. That's what it is. They feel better. But the system is broken, totally broken. That's why I've given you several warnings here about the medical system from Dr. Sunil Dahan. And so we just want to be aware, if you happen to have a health condition that you can't resolve, first of all, show up every Friday morning and we'll help you work through it if we can. And if you're willing to communicate to me, and I'm a holistic life coach, I've been in this for over 30 years. And I can give you the resources, if nothing else, on where you can get answers if you're looking for certain answers. But most of all, we're here at Health and Wellbeing to help you take care of your temple, your body, take charge of your health, because hospitals cannot do that. And here's another lesson from our favorite Dr. Dahan on why people over 65 need to know about these life-saving hospital tips. In case you do happen to fall in there and have to be in there, Dr. Sunil and his team have some advice for you today.
Today we're going to be talking about, if you're over 65, what is the worst thing we see that happens to people in the hospital? Dr. Peter?
The worst thing that I've always talked about and seen in the hospital is a window of opportunity for discharge. And let me explain what I mean. And so patients get admitted to the hospital with an illness, and then you're in the hospital for a number of days. And it's so classic that there's a time period where they think about this patient may get discharged, but for some reason that doesn't happen. Either a rehab doesn't accept a patient, or some other situation comes up and the patient stays longer in the hospital. And I guarantee you, a lot of things that we're probably going to talk about later in this podcast happens is that people get suddenly sicker and miss their window of opportunity. And I really truly believe that when patients are in hospitals, I often feel like doctors don't get patients mobilized fast enough. I don't feel like they concentrate on getting them out of the hospital as quick as they can. And it almost is easier sometimes for doctors when they're doing their rounds, walking around the hospital, is not having to do all the paperwork for discharge. And what happens as patients sit in the hospital longer, their window of opportunity to get out in a healthy fashion, I feel like often drops dramatically. And I've seen people that have been in the hospital, and if they just got out on, say, the third day of admission, they end up getting a urinary tract infection. That turns into a worsening urinary tract infection. They get an infection somewhere else. It spreads. They get what's called urosepsis. They get transferred to the ICU. They develop a pneumonia. Nutrition goes down, and it's just a whole cascade. So I think really it's that missed window of opportunity of discharge.
That is terrible. So the complications skyrocket because people are just kind of languishing in the hospital and nobody's willing to let them out. Well, that's truly awful. Dr. Sunil, what is your worst thing you say usually?
Well, actually, it's touching upon many of the points that Dr. Peter mentioned, specifically about not mobilizing. So the worst thing that I see is what I call sinking in bed syndrome. I should patent that term, sinking in bed syndrome. So the scenario goes something like this. Somebody above the age of 65 will be admitted to hospital. Let's say they have a pneumonia, lung infection, and their clinical condition is improving. They're on antibiotics. Maybe they were septic, getting fluids as well, but they're not mobilizing for those first few days, even though they're getting better. And unfortunately, this happens for a number of reasons. Chronic underinvestment in physical therapy services, mobility aids, nurses being very busy. So someone is lying in bed, so sinking in bed. The issue with this is that it's bad enough when somebody's 21, but if they're, say, 70 years old, they will get muscular deconditioning very quickly. And I cannot overstate the importance of avoiding this, because I have seen people who were fully independent. They come into hospital with this illness. They will be deconditioned. They can't go home. They go to rehab. Then they get another complication at rehab. And before you know it, you hear that a year later, they're in a nursing home. Now, granted, this tends to happen to people more in their late 70s or 80s, but I think it's a problem in anybody over the age of 65. And it's so imperative, firstly, to be aware of this. And if you have a loved one in the hospital, be a good advocate. And when you sense that they're getting better, say, my loved one needs to get out of bed and needs to start moving because they're getting weaker. And often somebody, when they're sick, won't feel like doing this. You have to push a little bit. I'm not saying do anything inappropriate, like make them run a marathon. I'm saying they have to get moving because muscle loss sets in very, very quickly. And it can turn that independent person into a non-functional person very quickly over 65. In fact, frequently, I have been in situations where somebody's loved one, say their daughter or son, is like almost begging me, saying, why is our dad or mum not getting out of bed? Please, can they move? And I'm thinking to myself, this is heartbreaking. You shouldn't have to beg us to do that. That should be automatic. So please avoid sinking in bed syndrome.
That is an excellent example. I've seen that myself. It is absolutely awful. And that very much goes along with yours, Dr. Peter. You stay too long in the hospital, no one's allowing you to move, and you get these hideous complications, and it puts you on a very poor trajectory that doesn't end well. So those are fantastic examples. The one I have seen, and this is something you may not even notice, it's all behind the scenes. And what we tend to see in the hospital is specialists and the doctors that are taking care of you often will fight, and you don't even know about it. So they're behind the scenes and they're fighting about who takes responsibility for your care. And it can be an emergency room doctor, a medicine doctor, even a cardiologist, believe it or not, an orthopedic surgeon, and they're all fighting because you came in with maybe some kind of complex injury. And what you don't see is behind the scene, all of these people are explaining why they don't have to take responsibility for your care. It is disgusting. I've seen it happen, unfortunately, at many different places, many different times. And it's part of one of the many things that's wrong with the culture of medicine. Instead of embracing that you are in charge of this patient's care, you take responsibility, you're going to make sure they're better. We have a bunch of different people that can help and are actively choosing not. So I have seen that before, and it causes enormous problems because the patient stops becoming the focus.
Okay. interesting. I hope you're learning something about why we need to avoid those places called hospitals. And what that means is taking charge of our health every day. It's not a sometimey thing to avoid hospitals. It's an everyday conscious exercise effort to strengthen your emotional, your physical, and your mental state in this temple. So I am just grateful beyond measure that I have not had to be admitted to a hospital in all my 71 times around the planet, other than having babies. Those were the 2 times I was admitted to the hospital. Got to bring this baby out. And if I were to do it all over again, it'd be at home. I'd do it at home because I would. The thing about having babies at home is you have to prepare for 9 months to do that. And that's why as a doula, I'm so grateful when I have an opportunity to help women who are having babies to prepare at home or prepare for 9 months. You have to prepare for 9 months. And you have to prepare every day to prevent hospital visits, right? Because the system is all about giving you more drugs and more drugs. Now, that's why we want to talk about the pharmaceutical industry is coming out or has come out or has been working on a jab to prevent cancer, mainly skin cancer. And why would this be a problem? Let's just look into some of the reasons that Moderna CEO, for one, thinks it's a good idea to come out with a new drug that they believe that they've been working on. They've been working on this, so no worries. They did all the research, right? Not so. Not touch this. Okay, here, Moderna. This is an interview that a woman did with Moderna CEO about his new research that they're working on and why we should be excited, I guess.
Sure. So, as you know, we built this company believing it will be either a failure or a company with a lot of drugs. It made no sense to us scientifically. This would be a one-drug company because mRNA is an information molecule. And so we are very excited today for patients this incredible new clinical data. What we did, because of the advance in the medical field, is we wanted to test the hypothesis at the time. Could we teach your T cell in your immune system how to recognize the cancer, your cancer, that they were missing? Mm-hmm. And so we say we need to run a big experiment in the clinic to test it against the best drug in the market, Keytruda from Merck, and to see, can we do better or should we go home? And so we did a very Moderna trial, which was powered, meaning enough people to know a true answer. It was randomized, like a good study should be done, and the control arm was Keytruda. What we showed this morning is we showed a 44% reduction of risk of recurrence of cancer or of death versus Keytruda. That's a hazard ratio of 0.56. That is higher than my best expectation. And we know it's real. Why? Because the p-value of the study is very, very low. It's 0.0266, very, very low. So it's real. So what is exciting for us is we're going to go very quickly into a phase 3 to get this drug in melanoma to patients as fast as we can. But what's even more exciting to me is we've proven the mechanism that Moderna's mRNA technology can teach cancer patients T-cell how to recognize cancer. So what does that mean? That I believe this should be used in many more cancers. And so we're working with Merck to look at what are all the other cancers we should run directly phase 3 in parallel, like Merck did way back then in Keytruda, to try the technology in many, many more cancers because we think the mechanism should hold. And that's why having a strong balance sheet, we have $17 billion of cash, is amazing at this moment because we're going to invest in many, many trials in cancer, many billions of dollars of R&D, but also invest in manufacturing so that we can build plants around the world to deliver in just a matter of weeks a drug just make for your cancer?
Yeah, let's talk about that, because obviously, you have a partner now. You started off with the COVID vaccine alone and building out that infrastructure, including for manufacturing. And so now you're looking at a partner with Merck, which has invested 200.
Okay, so we have the CEO, a very, I'm sure, compassionate man, wants to see all of us healthy and strong, talking about all the statistics and all the research they've done to prove how safe and effective maybe this product is. Where have we heard that before? And now they want you to trust them for a jab that not only prevent the cancer, but actually heal the cancer in your body. Now, why do we have a problem with that? Well, let's fast forward to 2026. The FDA has come out with a black box warning. You know what a black box warning is? That means this drug you're taking has a high risk of death and other problems that could go on wrong with your body. So here is the latest. FDA stands to put black box warning on, guess what? Some product that they told us was safe and effective. So let's just think about why we would want to trust a CEO coming out with another experimental jab for cancer, of all things. Let's just pay attention to this report before we think about trusting these people.
Tested and greenlit under the first Trump administration is now facing its most serious warning under the second Trump administration. Sources tell CNN that the FDA is working on plans to put a black box warning on COVID-19 vaccines. This is used in circumstances where the risks include things like death or life-threatening or disabling reaction. It's the latest move by President Trump's health officials to undermine the COVID vaccine, whose record speed development during the pandemic was a feat so monumental that some Republicans have called for him to receive the Nobel Prize for it. Experts note the vaccine's safety was demonstrated in trials involving more than 70,000 people and continues to be monitored worldwide. The plans for the warning aren't yet finalized, and they could change. They come after an internal memo from the FDA's vaccine chief, Dr. Vinay Prasad, which claimed that the COVID-19 vaccine had been linked to the deaths of at least 10 children, a claim that outside experts say they haven't seen data to support. The Department of Health and Human Services told us in a statement, quote, "Unless the FDA announces it, any claim about what it will do is pure speculation. The FDA takes very seriously any death that is attributed to a regulated medical product." Outside medical groups still recommend annual COVID shots, especially for people who are most vulnerable: the elderly, those with compromised immune systems, and babies and toddlers under the age of 2. But vaccination rates are already low, and experts worry these moves could make that worse.
Now, going back to the nightmare we all went through with masks and shutdown, lockdowns, go inside, all that, we should all be so much wiser and aware of the side effects, let alone the side effect, but a black box warning on a jab that we were told was safe and effective. So when we hear anything about another experimental product coming out of CEOs like Moderna or any of these others, I think we should just stop and pause and consider the history lesson we all went through together from 2020 to current situation, where now people are having all kinds of symptoms and side effects from a jab that we were told was safe and effective. So preventing cancer, what does that mean? Do any of you believe that you can prevent cancer with a pharmaceutical drug? Let me read you something from the Bible that I have always held in my mind, because as many of you know, from the time I was born, I was swimming in the gospel of Jesus, and I was in my grandfather's church every year in Southern Illinois, hearing about this book called the Bible. And in the book of Revelations, a very powerful statement is made for us to adhere to and live in. And it says, let me read from this is from the Restoration Scriptures, True Name, Set Apart Scriptures. In the book of Revelations 18, verse 23, I will always have this in my mind, but I want to read it to you just so we are on the same page. The light of a candle shall shine no more at all in you, and the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in you. Why is the light going out? That's the question I always ask. Why is the light going out in us, in you, in me? For your merchants, let's just think about Moderna, Pfizer, were the great men of the earth. For by your sorceries, now the word sorceries translates into pharmakia, like pharmaceutical, were all nations deceived. That's like a prophecy of sorts for today, for those who are walking in wisdom and truth. The spirit of truth in Yeshua and the Prince of Peace and the monks and all that is so strong right now that this prophecy must or should be taken into account whenever we consider putting any sorceries into our body where the light will go out. It says, all nations were deceived. So my two sons, along with thousands of other people, were deceived into putting a jab into their body. And now we have a black box warning that, wait a minute, before you take another COVID vaccine, think about the FDA is considering a black box warning that says this is dangerous. This could cause problems. It could even cause death. Now that's the truth. So I realize YouTube might censor this, but I have to get this out because it's just been on my mind and heart to do this, that the black box warning is being considered. Thanks to RFK Jr., who is bringing all this out in a slow, strategic way. He's bringing out all the warnings and things about autism and the connection with the jab, and SIDS and the connection with the jab. We are waking up in 2026 to a truth that many people don't want to hear because it means we have to make changes. My job is to share with you this knowledge about German New Medicine, or it's actually what I write about in my book, From Fear to Faith in the Master Design. Because this is a journey I went on personally with my sister's breast cancer. And that's why I share what I know and I put it in a book form. I actually changed the title. The original title was actually My Body is Talking to Me. And this item, I can't bring it up right now. Please try again later. Okay, can't bring up the photo, but this is the cover of my book, From Fear to Faith in the Master Design. The truth about preventing cancer is, in my opinion, emotional intelligence will be the main factor that causes cancer cells to proliferate, to take over, or your lack of emotional intelligence. So my biggest lesson came with my sister. Many have heard this story, whose child died at the age of 14. Her only child was hit by a car in Chicago. And that evening, she took her last breath. My sister went into deep grief like I've never seen in my life. I flew to Chicago the day after that happened. And I never seen someone in such deep grief because she worshiped that girl, worshipped her. It was her only child. She was a single mom. And so the grief just continued to fester in her subconscious. She took that grief and put it right into her subconscious file. And for 2 years, she tried to work. She tried to continue her life. She traveled. She hadn't got an insurance policy from this death. And she traveled and traveled and traveled. But the grief didn't go away. It just was filed in the subconscious. So a couple of years later, she was diagnosed with breast disease, cancer, in her left breast, which is where a child-mother conflict shows up. Now, this was the lesson of emotional intelligence for me, because a woman who has emotional intelligence and who is fully mature in her consciousness and evolution, she will work after several days after that death or shortly after that trauma conflict to heal the grief, to get it out of the subconscious, to get it out of your cells. Because what happens is those traumas, whether it's the death of a child, a father, mother, that you process with subconscious grief stuffing, it will settle into your cells and it will start to grow. Because either you change your mind or you develop a tumor. That's how it works. That's what I'm learning. That's what I'm teaching. That's what this program teaches here. And what is that? You either grow from that perceived problem. My child is gone. My father is gone. I'm going to grieve. And then you start feeling, after you stuff the grief, you start feeling shame for being a single mom, for instance. You start feeling guilt for whatever you did that contributed to this child's death. In my sister's case, she had an argument with her daughter before her daughter took off on her bike and got hit by a car. Her soul wanted to leave this planet. So grief, unforgiveness, you can't forgive yourself because your only child has left here. Now, this is just one example of how cancer grows and tumors grow, that you have a traumatic event that you have not been able to resolve peacefully. That's how do you prevent it? You recognize, you become so aware that your emotions are going to change the pH. The pH is the potential for hydrogen. Hydrogen is the most prevalent chemical in our universe. So they have designated pH, potential for hydrogen, to measure acidic or alkaline. There's a scale or spectrum. You're very acid over here, meaning your body is really weak and sick, whereas alkaline tends to bring health up and strengthen the body. Somewhere in the middle is where we all should call homeostasis, is where we all should be, to keep a balance and be aligned with the creator's purpose and joy and life-giving elements in us. Once you start staying in the acid pH, that's when cancer is going to show up. I'm sad, I'm grieving, I can't forgive myself, I hate Trump, I hate Trump, I hate Trump. Those are acid emotions that will produce for you disease, cancer. So this is a time for you to be aware. This is the map of consciousness. When you stay in this blue zone, cancer can't live in here. A man by the name of Otto Warburg. Look him up, Otto Warburg. Don't believe anything I'm telling you. Do your own research. Otto Warburg got a Pulitzer Prize for showing that basically cancer cells cannot live in an oxygen-rich environment. Oxygen-rich means joy, laughter, peace. Oxygen-rich. You're breathing every day, healing the subconscious grief, healing all the rape and all the things that, oh, poor me, the victim mind. They can't live, the cancer cells, that down here is where you have the regret, the grief, the fear, the blame. Here's the blame. All these are red acid pH. The cancer loves this area right here. You're on fire. In fact, let the red represent inflammation. When you are inflamed with blame and shame and grief and hopelessness, condemning, humility, despair, regret, anxiety. That's called inflammation in the body. The body's inflamed. You're on fire. Cancer loves that environment. Just keep it up, and the tumors are going to show up. You can, so it's our responsibility as conscious, loving humans to keep the flame away, to put out the fire. Let's say it's our responsibility. If we want to prevent cancer, you have choices. You can go to the pharmaceutical drug choice option and be a guinea pig again, like COVID. Be a guinea pig again and get your jab and see if their experiment will work on you this time. That's a choice. You have that choice. I think we all have to recognize we can do whatever the hell we want on this planet. Freedom. That's what freedom's all about. Because maybe your soul is here to teach us what happens to people who trust in the pharmakeia deception, like I just read from the scriptures, which is so true. But you also have a choice to wake up and move into a yellow zone of anger, desire, hate. Move out of that. Keep moving up. Pride, courage, effort, into the blue zone. The blue zone is a pH. Even on the pH scale, you'll see these colors. This is the neutral color for 7, the pH of 7. When you get up here in the blue zone, Otto Warburg, the scientist, proved cancer cells can't live there. So how do you prevent cancer? Emotional intelligence says, I am going to constantly be aware of everything in my life that challenges me and triggers me into my past memories of victim mind, and I'm going to try and work to come out of that because I don't want cancer growing in my body. That's how simple it is on one level. And it's not easy because we have been so programmed to just react to everything and hate Trump. I just have to keep bringing that up because I see it every day. Some people on my Facebook, I'm about to just to wipe out because why do you have TDS, Trump derangement? That man was like, has an assignment, and one of them is to trigger you until you wake the hell up and say, well, he's really not the problem. I'm the problem. I am the problem that I am reacting and broadcasting my anger and my hate out into the field and creating more wars that will kill and cause suffering. Because the truth is, if you are lacking, I mentioned this on a show last night. Here's a truth that we want to end with. We're at the top of the hour. Belief in lack creates all suffering. I'm not complete. Okay, so if you every day say, well, I don't have enough money, I don't have a car, I don't have a job, I don't have a president that loves me. I don't have a president that respects my history and the slave market and all that bullshit. It's really irrelevant at this point because this is 2026 and AI is real and the powers that should not be have a plan. And the plan is to divide and conquer. So if you're saying, I don't have it, I need this, I need that, I need this, and I'm so poor and I'm just a victim. Welcome to the Cancer Club. You're about to be diagnosed with something that you really don't want to have because it'll be in the hospital, like we just showed, where you get poisoned food that's worthless, and you have no freedom, and you have to wait on hot nurses and doctors to decide your fate, basically. I'm here to raise your consciousness and help you live an abundant life of joy and freedom, and to be relieved of your subconscious pain. Anything in your past that has caused you pain and suffering, it needs to be freed. And how do you do that? You do meditations every morning that reverse the messages you've been holding on to. I'm sick. They get that out of your whatever. I don't care what you're feeling. If you keep playing the music, I'm sick, You will be sick because the words of your mouth are powerful. And the scripture has told us, if you read the scriptures, you're snared, you're imprisoned by the words of your mouth. And snared means you are wrapped in a cocoon of poison. Snared, you're snared. If you are speaking negative words instead of words of love and power, that's why the monks walked from Fort Worth, Texas to Washington, D.C. to remind us, the people who watched, the people who grew, the people who learned from them, how powerful we are. When we do a simple task every morning, write on a piece of paper, today is going to be my peaceful day. Now, this monk, the venerable monk Panakara, shows up on Facebook every day to remind us again why we're doing this. And his recent message was just so beautiful to say, when you write down, today is going to be my peaceful day, you get up, you wash your hair, you do your fit, and you go out and somebody irritates you. And you're going to think, well, I wrote down today's going to be my, why would I react? Because this is my peaceful day. I'm not going to react to this. And you go through your day remembering what you started out, today is going to be my peaceful day. And you also speak that to the universe, to the energy of the world, and that you're going to get help. You're going to get help. I've been getting so much help. I'm like amazed at all the help I'm getting to have a peaceful day. I do puzzles, if you don't know, and I'm getting help even with my puzzle pieces. I'm like looking for a piece over here in the big picture of things, and I go over here and I see a piece, pick it up, and I go over here and it fits right in. Now we're talking 1,000 pieces. This is no easy feat. It takes a couple of days, even a week for me, because my neck is tired, but it's working amazingly because I'm not doing as much work looking for the right fit in the big picture. So think about this. When you're doing a puzzle, you have to look at the big picture. The big picture tells you the beauty of the flower, where the flowers go, where the sky is, where the dog is, where the birds are. I'm doing one that's a garden. It's a pathway and it has flowers along the walk and it has sky and a bird bath and then all this beautiful house over here. So the big picture shows us that the cosmic world that we're living in has a plan for us to follow if we want a peaceful earth. The big picture says peaceful earth can happen because look at the sky, look at the trees. When I look at outside my window, I see trees, beautiful trees, everywhere trees. And you think about the war in the Middle East, death, suffering, conflict. So which puzzle do you want to put together? The trees and the birds and the bees? Or do you want to put together more suffering, more bombs dropping, more bloodshed? Which picture are you going to focus on? Which big picture are you going to focus on? If you focus on the nature, the love of the creator, nature, and you broadcast out of your mouth the love of nature, the beauty of who I am powerful, I am non-stoppable, I am love, and you practice loving kindness and compassion, guess what's going to happen? Together, we're going to create no more war and all peace, a peaceful environment. That's what we're working on here in the village. And on Sunday night, Soul Purpose Healing, my guests I invite to come on, we're all promoting a peaceful earth and a change from the programming that we've had that says I'm lacking something, which means you're gonna suffer. If you feel like you believe you're lacking anything, you're gonna have more suffering. It says I'm not complete. So as we depart from this hour of filling our minds and our energy, let us remember that I am complete, that I lack nothing. I am totally complete. I am enough. Breathe in more love, more oxygen, more truth. I hope that today you've breathed in more truth about who you really are and who is out there deceiving you that you need to push back and ignore. Breathing in, I am powerful. I am prosperous. I am healed. I am healthy. I am wealthy. And I am in charge of my own temple health with the choices that I'm making every day, which is to love myself more and more and more. Fly, fly, fly. I'm flying first. Love yourself. So I hope this has been helpful to you. Please remember to like and subscribe, and you will get notified when I go live, because even though my regular shows are Friday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday night, I sometimes do shows in the week because stuff is happening fast and Spirit says, talk about it, and present it to you. Breathing in, like and subscribe. And if this has been helpful to you, if you'd like to donate to my fund of survival and joy and desires being met, Cash App is $ Vieta Robinson. Appreciate every contribution. My ebook available, From Fear to Faith in the Master Design, which will help you prevent cancer, because it's all about stories of people I met who were suffering and who showed me how they got the cancer. And I wrote a book, especially my sister's lesson, and I'm a living proof. No cancer here, 71 years around the sun. And the people I have helped nowadays are working in their life to prevent cancer and to live a abundant, prosperous life. And so you can find my book if you send $8 to my Cash App that I just showed you, and your email, because it's an ebook now. I've stopped printing. After my dad's book, I stopped printing books. It was just so much work in that. And if you would like a paperback, let me know. And I'm working to change that in the future. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you'll share this message with others, because there is definitely something going on in those hospital institutions that we need to be aware of. And preventing cancer, in my opinion, is not about another one of these, but it's a mental mental upgrade, emotional upgrade, especially emotional intelligence upgrade. That's what will prevent your disease from showing up in your body, because your body wants to help you live a long, prosperous life. But the command center here has to have clear instructions to the rest of the body, especially your microbiome, all those bacteria and viruses and micro and fungus down there. They have to get the message clearly that they're working for you, the sovereign soul who wants to have a beautiful, joyful life. So everybody go out, please, and get some sun. It's sunny today. We've had a lot of rain, but it's sunny today. So I'm on my way out to do some Tai Chi. I do Tai Chi every day outside, moving my body in the sun and then holding my arms up for 3 minutes to strengthen my muscles. That's what's giving me more muscle. I love you. Have a great day and stay in peace.